In this week's vlog, we're going to be covering the difference in width between 5 shoes released this year that are all labeled as wide. In our industry, there's no standard dimensions that warrant a shoe to be labeled wide once it reaches a certain width. Because of this, it kind of leaves you, the consumer, up to your guess as to which shoe might fit your foot if you have a wide foot, regardless of what the brand labels the shoes as. The way shoes typically released in a wide form is that a brand will release a standard version of a shoe and a wide model of that shoe. Now that shoe might not be wide within the industry of width, but it just might be more wide than their standard shoe that they released. Each of the shoes here from 5 popular brands that are popular in our sport right now have released a wide version of their shoe. The alternative standard version might be regarded as a standard or more narrow shoe, so that leaves you kind of guessing on if the wide is going to be actually wide or just wide compared to the alternative version. Another issue we have when brands offer a width, we usually are more interested in what the toe box width of the shoe will be. This is the most relevant part of our foot that we want a wide shoe to fit inside. And what happens with the brands, they might release a width in a dimension that is different from another brand's, and they might measure them differently. So some brands will measure the width of a toe box from the outside of the shoe and some from the inside. So this can be an issue when comparing one brand's shoe to another. If the widths are wildly different in measurement, it can be because the brands measured them differently. So these 5 shoes, what we wanted to do today, they are all labeled as wide, but we wanted to help you kind of fill in the gap of what that wide designation means. So we were able to measure the width of the toe box of each of these shoes and compare them to kind of tell you, even though they're all labeled wide, what is the difference between them in that actual width. What we found between these shoes, they were all pretty similar in width. The way we measured these, I took a size 10 of men's of each of these shoes and then measured the toe box width of each of them from the inside to get an accurate feel. If there's no thick padding or mesh on the outside that could alter those results, it's all going to be a standardized measurement so we can accurately compare the width of each of these 5 shoes to tell you the differences between them. So we have the shoes laid out and the difference in width, starting with the least wide, going to the most wide that we measured. The overall difference between this pair and this pair is going to be about 7 millimeters, which is not an exorbitant amount of width. It's about a 7% difference overall, given that the toe box of these shoes, the Asics Gel Resolution X wide, came in at 102 millimeters for that size 10, compared to the Babolat Jet Mach 3 AC wide that came in about 95 millimeters on the toe box. So going down the line of the measurements we gathered, we're going to start with the Babolat Jet Mach 3 AC. This is a new shoe this year, but this is a continuation of a very popular shoe in pickleball. So this wide version is going to come in at 95 millimeters in the toe box of that size 10. Each size you go up and down will adjust that width about a millimeter. And I know that you yourself are not going to know the millimeter width of your foot and what exact shoe width fits that perfectly. But I hope to just convey that the differences between these are about a couple millimeters a piece, so you can know this shoe might be a little bit more wide than that shoe, even if I don't know the width of my own foot itself. The next shoe in the lineup is going to be the Wilson Rush Pro 4.5 wide. Now the Rush Pro on its own is going to be regarded as a little more comfortable fit, a little bit more wide toe box, but this wide version we measured coming in at 97 millimeters in that toe box measurement. It's just about 2% bigger than the toe box of that Babolat that we measured. Next up in the lineup is that Head Sprint Pro 4.0 shoe. This is the wide model of the shoe. The alternative version we know is a pretty narrow fit. We found the toe box of this one to measure at 99 millimeters for that size 10, which put it more wide than that Wilson or Babolat option we featured previously. Next up is the K-Swiss Express Light 2E Pickleball Edition. So this shoe coming in a 2E is demonstrating that it is a more wide option than the standard D width that shoes come in. If a shoe does not label what width it comes in, the standard default is a size D, so the 2E is only one width measurement larger than the standard width. This shoe came in at 100 millimeters on the toe box, so very similar to the Head on the width there and a little bit slightly more wide than the Wilson or Babolat alternatives. Lastly is the Asics Gel Resolution X. This Asics shoe is going to be one of the most durable shoes that we offer, so it coming in a wide version will satisfy a lot of customers who are looking for both a wide and durable option. We measured the toe box of this shoe to come in at 102 millimeters, making it the most wide out of the 5 that are wide designated shoes we're featuring here today. The difference in this Asics shoe and the Babolat again is just a 7 millimeter difference, so overall it is not a huge difference between them. They are all going to be more wide than their standard versions, and to us do measure in the more wide fit category. So if you're on the fence choosing between these shoes, we're hoping this is kind of a helpful guide of the differences in the width of each of these offers, kind of how they compare to each other and overall, and just know that when a shoe is designated wide, it might not fit your foot if you're normally a wide, but it might just be more wide than the alternative version. So it's always good to call in, shoot us an email, ask us if a shoe that's designated wide is more wide than the previous version or how wide it actually might be, and we're happy to measure them and let you know. Another important factor to consider when buying that wide shoe is whether or not the shoe comes with an attached tongue. So some people would prefer with the wide shoes to not have an attached tongue. This can make it easier to unlace the shoes, really stretch them out before getting your foot in there. I know this is important to the wide crowd. Of the shoes you see here, these three options, the Babolat, Wilson, and Head, do have an attached tongue. This is a more common trait we see in shoes. With the glove-like fit, we were looking to be locked down in place. You can lace them up and get that tightness, but an attached tongue does help add that second layer of compression that really locks your foot in place, avoids ankle injuries and whatnot. So these three shoes will have that attached tongue compared to the K-Swiss and the Asics options that do not have an attached tongue. So exactly what that looks like, you may be familiar, but the tongue itself will not be able to stretch too far out of the confinements of the lacing due to the fact that it is attached. So this is an issue to consider. The shoe is wide, so you will not be able to take the tongue all the way up to help your foot get in the shoe, even though it does have a very wide mouth to start with. Comparatively, we know with the detached tongues, these shoes, when you unlace them, are going to be a lot easier to get your foot into. As we see with the Asics, it is a detached tongue, so if I were to unlace it up here, we would be able to fully lift the tongue here to help get your foot in there easily. To shop all these shoes and more, visit us at pickleballwarehouse.com.